Tonight, you are not afraid of dying. You are afraid of being forgotten. You are a court painter in Kaifeng, 1127. You've spent 15 years recording perfection. The exact curve of a crane's neck, the precise shade of imperial blue. Tomorrow morning, the city will fall. The paintings will burn, the catalogs will vanish, and the man who built the most beautiful court on earth will be marched north in chains. This is not the story of how culture was defeated by violence. This is the story of how an empire collapsed because it optimized for the wrong thing. Let me take you back to 1100. Huizong becomes emperor at 18. He doesn't want the job. He's the 11th son. He was supposed to paint birds and write poetry while his older brother handled the empire. But his brother dies, and the court officials need someone they can control, so they pick the art kid. Big mistake. Within 5 years, Huizong has transformed the imperial court into something between a graduate art program and a venture capital fund for aesthetics. He creates the Academy of Painting, giving court artists official bureaucratic rank. They get fish pendants, the same symbols that mark you as a government official. They get salaries. They get legal protection. In the West, we romanticize artist emperors. We imagine some Renaissance prince who supports the arts on the side. Huizong isn't dabbling. He's running the empire like a museum acquisition department. He personally compiles catalogs. The Xuanhe Catalog of Paintings, 6,396 paintings by 231 artists. The Xuanhe Catalog of Calligraphy. His total collection? Over 9,000 items. To put this in perspective, imagine if Jeff Bezos took Amazon's entire operating budget and spent it on the Met Museum, then personally curated every exhibition while ignoring quarterly earnings, and also inventing a new font. Because Huizong does that too. He invents his own calligraphy style called slender gold. It looks like someone wrote with liquid gold wire. It's so delicate, so precise, that modern calligraphers still study it. The man is a genius, just not at being emperor. Here's the problem with hiring someone who's good at the wrong thing. While Huizong is painting cranes, the geopolitical chessboard is moving. Up north, the Jin Dynasty, former allies, are consolidating power. The Song Dynasty had partnered with Jin to destroy their mutual enemy, the Liao Empire, back in 1125. Classic mistake. Huizong assumes Jin will stay satisfied with their share of the territory. They don't. By early 1126, Jin forces cross the Yellow River. They besiege Kaifeng. And here's where it gets darkly funny. In 1112, 14 years earlier, Huizong painted a scroll called Auspicious Cranes. It shows cranes flying over the palace at Kaifeng. He interprets this as a divine sign, proof that heaven approves of his reign, proof of prosperity. 15 years later, the same city is burning. So what does Huizong do when the Jin army shows up? He runs. But he can't just abandon the throne. That would destroy the imperial legitimacy. So he does something extraordinarily cynical. On January 18th, 1126, he fakes a stroke, forces his eldest son, Qinzong, to take the throne. Qinzong doesn't want it. He resists so violently that eunuchs have to physically shove him onto the throne. Think about that for a second. The emperor's solution to a national crisis is to make his son the legal scapegoat. Then, Huizong flees to the countryside. This isn't cowardice. It's a calculated institutional gamble. If Qinzong can negotiate peace, Huizong keeps his life and his art collection. If the deal fails, he's no longer legally responsible. Emperors can't be blamed after abdication. It's the political equivalent of a golden parachute. February 1126, Jin agrees to withdraw, but there's a price. The city of Taiwan, massive war indemnity, hostages. The Song court pays. Jin leaves. Huizong returns to the palace and resumes throwing parties. But here's where the system breaks down. Qinzong, trying to prove he's not a puppet, attempts to form a secret alliance with former Liao nobles, a coalition against Jin. Jin finds out. December 1126. They come back, this time with no intention of negotiating. January 9th, 1127, Kaifeng falls. March 20th, 1127. Both emperors, father and son, are formally demoted to commoner status by the Jin court, stripped of titles, stripped of protection. What happens next is called the Jinkang Incident. 14,000 people, emperors, concubines, ministers, servants, musicians, and yes, the court painters, are forced to march north to Manchuria. It's winter. Many die on the road from cold and exhaustion. Female members of the royal family are distributed as slaves to Jin princes. Many commit suicide to avoid capture. Huizong, the man who once controlled the world's greatest art collection, spends his final 8 years in a frozen prison compound. He dies in 1135. His art collection? Looted. His catalogs? Most of them lost. Only fragments survive today. So here's the paradox. Modern historians describe Emperor Huizong as, and I'm quoting here, an utter failure who contributed to the end of the Northern Song Dynasty. And yet, his institutional reforms, elevating painting to a scholarly profession, creating formal catalogs, systematizing art education, laid the foundation for Chinese art history as we know it. Museums around the world still use his cataloging methods. So was he a failure? Or was he just in the wrong job? Here's what I think the real lesson is. Huizong wasn't evil. He wasn't corrupt. He didn't embezzle funds or murder rivals. He optimized. He built systems. He created institutions that outlasted his dynasty. He just optimized for beauty when the empire needed him to optimize for survival. In corporate terms, he was a world-class chief design officer accidentally promoted to CEO during a hostile takeover. The board wanted someone they could control. They got someone who reorganized the company around aesthetics. While competitors were buying up market share, the system didn't punish him for being a bad person. It punished him for running the wrong algorithm. And here's the uncomfortable part. The things that made him a bad emperor, the obsessive cataloging, the institutional reforms, the creation of formal art academies, those are the things we remember him for today. His failure created his legacy, which raises a question. If you had to choose between being remembered as a good leader who left nothing behind, or a terrible leader whose systems outlived the collapse, which would you pick? Huizong didn't get to choose, but 800 years later, we're still talking about his cranes.